All right, welcome back everybody to another video of the series. This is part 5 out of 14. Now, I must remind you guys before we begin, if you cannot even sit through this video, can you even sit through a trade? Trading is something that requires patience, something that requires discipline, and something that requires you to keep an open mind. So you being able to sit through this video, you showing that patience is going to allow you to get there. Now, again, before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe. If you guys want more information, please go ahead and join the Discord at gg.leverage for the private mentorship and free EDU. We also run giveaways there monthly. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the video. What to know before entering your first trade. Now, again, I must remind you, this is 5 out of 14, so go watch the beginning of the series before you get into this video if you have not before. There will be 14 videos that are dropping. They will be daily. So again, go watch the beginning of the series before we get started. So now let's go ahead and jump right into it. Now, when you are going to execute your trade, the first and foremost important thing is going to be that you hold proper risk management. This means you will be able to detach from the money and you will control only what you can, which is going to be what you can lose. So if we can only control how much we can lose, if I'm only focusing on that, that's going to allow us to stay comfortable with using a low risk and not going to blow our portfolio in a small number of trades. We want this to, again, to hold profitability over time. So something that is long term is something that will sustain. Control only what you can. So moving on from that, we must also check for red folder news. These are going to be news events that hold high volatility. The biggest ones you will find are going to be CPI, NFP, FOMC, the presidential election, and any similar news that hold that red folder. Now you can check for these. I use forexfactory.com, so definitely go ahead and check that out. Go to the calendar section and that's where you'll be able to find that. Now, as far as your brokers, make sure you check your broker spreads. During those high volatility times, you will notice that the spreads widen, and this can cause your positions to be liquidated almost immediately once you open them. So we must understand that we must find our proper risk management, detach from the money, control only what we can, make sure we're not entering at bad times, and we must also check our leverage and our contract size. If we're trading too big with too much risk, that can cause a blown account very quickly. So we need to stay away from that. Make sure we check our leverage and contract size. Make sure it is coexisting with our risk management as well. So we must all have those things aligned before we execute our first trade. Let's move on to the next one. And before you go to execute your first trade, make sure you have your take profit and your stop loss set up. Make sure this is something that you hold to as well. If you hold to your stop loss, if you respect your stop loss, this will allow you to be able to gather that live data over time that you need to be able to refine your system and refine your progress overall. This goes hand in hand with planning the trade, trading the plan. So make sure we plan the trade ahead, make sure we have proper risk management, make sure we check for the right times, and make sure we trade that plan. That will allow us the most comfortability and progress when you are beginning. All of these things must be done before we begin. Now let's move on to the psychological side of entering a trade. Now, as far as the psychological side of entering a trade goes, we must first and foremost always detach from our funds. If we are trading with funds that we cannot afford to lose, this is already going to attach emotion to your trade. So we want to stay away from that. We want to detach from those funds and we want to trade with funds that we can afford to lose. So detach from those funds. Now, as far as entering a trade goes, we must enter based on our rules, not our feelings. If we are entering based on a mathematical system that is proven to be profitable over time, that is going to be much more comfortable to trade than trading based on feeling. If you just come to the charts, you say, hey, it looks good, and then you decide to take a trade, that is going to lead astray from what we need to be on. We need to be on a path of consistent progress, and that will come from you entering based on your rules, based on the system. Now, we must also journal everything. This is very, very important to track your progress. If you track your progress, this will allow you to refine your system. So you can refine to certain days that you trade best. You can refine to certain months that you trade best. This will allow you to control your risk. Remember, the rich are worried about capital preservation. The poor are worried about maximum gain. So do not worry about that maximum gain. Instead, focus on that preservation and controlling as much loss as you can. So journal everything, track that progress, and this will allow you that consistent progress. I will also say, as far as the psychological side goes, this is 90% of trading. Strategy and figuring out how to watch a chart is only 10% of what makes a trader good. Most of the discipline and most of the consistent repetitive action is what brings that mentor and that person a profitable outcome, right? So we need to focus on journaling everything. Now we must also learn to take it slow. Trading is a very, very lucrative niche that allows us to be able to go to a chart, press a button, and make quite a bit of money and quite a little of time. So we must understand to take it slow. This is something that we want to master over time. We need to take it slow. We need to fully understand everything, and we need to treat it as a business. That will allow us to be paid as a business. If we are just going in there gambling, then we will lose just as a gambler does. Now, one of the most important aspects of trading is also going to be focusing on the process. Focus on the process. Do not focus on the outcome. This will allow us to stay true to our system and not get into ways of greed or emotional ways of fear under distress to where we start to trade out of our rules. So focus on that process. Do not focus on the outcome. Now, if you are continuing to focus on the process, this is going to allow you to make it boring. So make it job-like. This will allow that consistent, just repetitive secondhand nature that will bring that comfortability to give you that profitability over time. So make it boring and make it job-like. And last but not least, consistency over everything. Consistency over all. This will allow us that continued profitability as we can stay to that consistent progress, stay to that consistent discipline. You'll find the best traders out there in the world are the most disciplined in every aspect of their life. So we need to follow that same type of path, and we need to stay consistent and true to our system. That means do not waver, do not start system hopping, do not try to doubt yourself. Just stay true and stay disciplined to the system that you have for yourself. The two biggest emotions that you are going to encounter when trading are going to be FOMO and FUD. FOMO going to be fear of missing out, FUD going to be fear under distress. You will notice me mention this many times in the series because these are very, very important aspects to trading. Let's start off with FOMO. Starting off with fear of missing out. This is something that we not want to just avoid, but we want to understand, receive that emotion, and then move past that and focus on each step, each trade, each time, right? Fear of missing out can lead to us taking trades out of session, out of timing, out of our rules, and it can lead to bad habits. It allows us or starts us to trade based on feeling and not on a system. The market can validate those bad habits. What I mean by the market validating those bad habits is, let's say you got into a trade out of your time frame or your certain risk, and let's say that trade hits and you make a bunch of money on that specific trade. What's going to happen the next time that situation pops up? And your mind says, well, it worked last time, so maybe it'll work this time. And then you try it, and then you end up losing half of your portfolio. That is what we want to stray away from. We want to keep to the consistency and only trading based on our system and our rules. Now let's move on to FUD. FUD is going to be your fear under distress. This can be times where you are afraid to take trades, times where you believe maybe prices quote unquote ran too far and now it can't come back down, or it won't go back down anytime soon, so you just stay away from it. Now we must understand that there will be opportunities every single day in the market all the time, so we must focus on staying true to our system instead. instead of system hopping, right? Going to different systems after it not working out for a first couple of trades, or not staying true to our risk, or risking too much or risking too little. All of these things fall under the fear under distress category. So we need to not just stray away from these, because we are human. These are emotions that we will feel. We need to react to them. It is about your reactions. Make sure you write that down. It is about your reactions. Now, for a summary of all the information we just went over today, remember each exchange, each broker will be different, so make sure to do your own research before executing. This is something that we must do every single time to make sure that you have the proper position size, make sure you have the proper take profit, make sure you have the proper stop loss, and again, do not trade for the money. Trade for the system. Remember to focus on that consistency and use that long-term mindset. This will allow us to continue our progression over and over and repeat something that can be profitable over time. So again, if you guys wanted more information, go ahead and go to discord.gg/leverage for our private mentorship plus free EDU. I'm currently working on a website that should be out soon, so be on the lookout for that. So make sure you guys like and subscribe as well. Turn on those notifications. This is again a 14-part series. We are only on video 5 out of 14. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the rest of the series. Please drop some feedback as well. That helps me with going through this series, with seeing your guys' perspective on how you guys can learn better and I can provide better value. So again, thank you guys to everybody who had showed up today. If you made it to the end of the video, I am very, very proud of you. You have what it takes to be able to trade in this market. Again, it is a patience and discipline game. So we need to stay true to that and not anything else. Do not trade for the money. So again, thanks to everybody that showed up, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace out, everybody.